Be able to answer the following questions using the claim, evidence, reasoning format. What evidence shows that through covenants God is trying to fix sin? Adam and Eve, Noah, Abraham, Moses. Question: how is God fixing sin in the covenant with Adam and Eve? Claim: God is trying to fix sin by being nice and helping Adam and Eve to encourage them to try not to sin and come back to Him. Evidence: Genesis 3:11. He said, "Who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten from the tree of which I commanded you not to eat?" Reasoning: when God is talking to them here, He isn't mad but more like confused and is asking where they have gone. He is just trying to help them and not to be intimidating to scare them. Evidence: Genesis 3:21. And the Lord God made garments of skin for the man and his wife and clothed them. Reasoning: God is doing this to help encourage them, to help them even though they sinned. He wants them to feel comfortable around Him and not to be scared, so they will be able to come back to Him and not have to worry. Also to encourage them not to sin, for God cares about them and their future. Question: how is God fixing sin in the covenant with Noah? Claim: God fixes sin with Noah by letting his family live so that there is a chance of new life, and by getting rid of all the sinners. Evidence: Genesis 6:13. And God said to Noah, "I have determined to make an end to all flesh, for the earth is filled with violence because of them. I am going to destroy them along with the earth." Reasoning: here God explains that His plans to help get rid of sin in the world, so that possibly the world might not ever have to sin again. Also, God explains how He is going to do this to the person that will help Him. Genesis 6:18. But I will establish my covenant with you, and you shall come into the ark, you, your sons, your wife, and your sons' wives with you. God is letting Noah know so that he can bring with them onto the ark to help repopulate the earth after all the people that sin are dead. And when doing so, hopefully Noah teaches his family not to sin so everyone can have a better life. Question: how is God fixing sin in the covenant with Abraham? Claim: God is fixing sin with Abraham by giving him descendants that will be like him, and that his son will also continue this. Evidence: Genesis 15:5. He brought him outside and said, "Look towards heaven and count the stars. If you are able to count them." Then he said to him, "So shall your descendants be." Reasoning: God is showing Abraham his future family that would be able to help the world and save the world and everything on it from sin. Evidence: Genesis 17:19. God said, "No, but your wife Sarah shall bear you a son, and you shall name him Isaac. I will establish my covenant with him as an everlasting covenant for his offspring after him." Reasoning: when God makes these promises, we know that God will continue to try to help the world through Abraham's family, but in the end it fails, but God never gives up. Question: how is God fixing sin in the covenant with Moses? Claim: God fixes sin with Moses by helping him bring Israel out of Egypt so they can worship freely, and gives him the commandments so that they know what's wrong and to try not to sin. Evidence: Exodus 3:8. And I have come down to deliver them from the Egyptians, and to bring them up out of the land to a good and broad land, a land flowing with milk and honey, to the country of the Canaanites, the Hittites, Amorites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites. Reasoning: God is ready to help free Israel so they will be able to worship and not sin freely, and to help save the rest of the world from sin. Exodus 23. You shall have no other gods before me. God is starting to list the things to help Israel by letting them know what will lead them to sin and help them understand the bad things in life and to avoid them. The blessing in the covenant with Adam, fruitfulness, domain. The blessing in the covenant with Noah, fruitfulness, domain. never would destroy the world again by flood. The blessing in the covenant with Abraham, land, name, nation, kingship, worldwide blessing. The blessing in the covenant with Moses will be God's chosen people. The conditions in the covenant with Adam: do not eat from the tree/death. The conditions for the covenant with Noah: do not shed human blood. The conditions for the covenant with Abraham: circumcision. The conditions for the covenant with Moses: keep the law and commandment. The sign for the covenant with Adam: Sabbath. The sign for the covenant with Noah: rainbow. The sign for the covenant with Abraham: circumcision. The sign for the covenant with Moses: Passover. The form for the covenant of Adam: marriage. The form for the covenant of Noah: household/family. The form for the covenant with Abraham: tribe. The form for the covenant with Moses: a holy nation. Typology analysis. Describe how the following Old Testament stories relate to Jesus: creation, Noah, Abraham, and Moses. Specific example: for creation, Eve created from Adam's rib. Connection to Jesus: water and blood from Jesus' side. Specific example for Noah: flood lasted 40 days. Connection to Jesus: Jesus was in the desert for 40 days. Specific example: Abraham: lamb caught in thorns and sacrificed. Connection to Jesus: Lamb of God wearing crown of thorns. Specific example for Moses: the Passover lamb. Connection to Jesus: Jesus shows the disciples the Eucharist. How does God respond to sin? God tries to fix sin by making covenants. First, the world was created good, then the fall, and so the world started to go towards sin. Then Israel's mission was to save the world from sin. But then Israel can't do job, and it goes and leads the world towards sin. And then Jesus has to be the lifeboat for the lifeboat to help save the world. John described the goodness of creation as seen in the original justice and original holiness analysis. Original holiness is a perfect relationship with God. Original justice is a perfect relationship with self and others. When we sin, we hurt our relationships with God, ourselves, and others. Like if you steal, it hurts your relationship with God, and you won't be able to communicate. For yourself, you will feel guilt, and for others, they won't be able to trust you because they think you might steal from them. The picture on the left shows original holiness because Adam has a perfect relationship with God still. And the picture in the middle shows original justice because Adam and Eve have a perfect relationship with each other and self. And then the one on the far right shows about how sin cuts off our relationships. What is evil? And identify the two kinds and explain. Evil is the lack of something that ought to be there. The two types of evil are physical and moral. Physical is the lack of something. Some examples are blindness, cancer. Moral is evil done. Some examples are lying and stealing.